Hello and welcome to another edition of Overtime. I'm Jeff Brightwell. A busy week for the University of Memphis Athletic Department. Men's and women's basketball in town last week. Softball went to LSU and baseball opened its 2013 season. We're here in the Anthony Finney Hardaway Hall of Fame for this week's edition. Like always, we've got a lot to talk about, so let's get started. Men's basketball team stayed perfect in Conference USA play last week with a pair of wins against UCF on Wednesday night, then traveled to Huntington, West Virginia for a Saturday night tilt with the Thundering Herd. Going back to Wednesday night, Memphis beat UCF 93-71 at FedEx Forum. Tigers jumped out to an early lead. They never looked back in that ball game. Joe Jackson led Memphis with 21 points. Jaron Johnson pulled down a team-high 9 rebounds. Then on Saturday night, a big matchup in Huntington with Marshall as the Tigers jumped out big at the half by 17, but they had to hold off Marshall. The Herd put on a furious rally. The Tigers holding off Marshall 71-59. Adonis Thomas led Memphis with 23 points and 10 rebounds. The win over Marshall and the win over UCF leave Memphis undefeated and still atop Conference USA, currently at 11-0 on the season in the league. They are in first place still by 2 games. Southern Miss trails Memphis at 9-2. Then UCF and UTEP both tied for third at 7-4 on the season. Memphis will return home Wednesday night at FedEx Forum. They'll host the Houston Cougars. That game will be on CSS. Also, stay around at halftime before you go get your hot dog or your Coke, because John Bramlett's going to have his jersey retired at FedEx Forum. And then Memphis will be back at home Saturday as they'll host Southern Miss. That game on the Fox Sports Network. The Tigers' 16-game winning streak currently tied for second long in the nation. We now move along to women's tennis, and it was a big weekend for women's tennis at the University of Memphis. They hosted 2 ranked opponents for the first time in school history, sending them both home with a loss. First on Friday, the Tigers upset number 42 Kansas State for their biggest victory in school history. In doubles competition, it was Alyssa Hibbert and Tiffany Welcher with wins at 8-1. Then Stephanie McKesh and Caroline Wegner were winners 8-4. On to singles competition against Kansas State. Lisa Timchenko won 3-6, 6-2, 6-0. Tiffany Welcher 6-1, 6-2. Stephanie McKesh 7-5, 6-2. And then Caroline Wegner was 7-6, 1-3, but was unfinished as Memphis had already claimed the win by a margin of 4-2 over Kansas State. Then on Sunday morning, they took on number 70 Columbia and came from behind. They were down 3-1, but they ended up picking up a 4-3 win in that one. And in the singles, it was Courtney Collins, a winner 6-3, 6-2. Lisa Timchenko 6-7, 5-7, 6-3, 6-4. Caroline Wegner 7-6, 9-7, 6-3. And Alyssa Hibbert a 6-3, 7-5 winner for women's tennis. Memphis' schedule continues to get tougher as they'll host the 16th ranked Virginia Cavaliers Sunday at the University Club. It's that time of year, and it is baseball season again at the University of Memphis, and Memphis was at FedEx Park over the weekend as they hosted a 3-game set with Illinois State. They fell 2-1. In Game 1, the Tigers fell 5-2. Memphis led early, but Illinois State came back. That game featured 21 base hits. All of those were singles. In Game 2 on Saturday, Memphis lost 7-3. Eric Schoenrock got the start, and Eric Schoenrock had a career-high 10 strikeouts in the game, but again, Illinois State rallied late to win Game 2, 7-3. Sunday afternoon, Memphis was able to salvage a game out of the series with Illinois State with a 5-2 win. That was the first win of the season for the University of Memphis Tiger baseball team. The Tigers battled back and forth against Illinois State. They picked up 2 runs in the 4th inning. After straining the bases loaded in the 6th, we move ahead, tied 2-2. Carter White drove in the go-ahead run with a single to left field. He stole second base, later scored on a double by Tucker Tubbs. Junior college transfer Alex Gunn made his Memphis debut on the mound as the starter. He dazzled out of the gate. The southpaw retired the first 8 batters he faced, the last one by strikeout. John Reed pitched 5 innings of relief, allowed just 2 runs in the 5th. He struck out the side of the 8th. After the Tigers grabbed that lead in the 7th, to earn his first collegiate win, Jonathan Van Eaton got his first save of the season. Baseball team gets right back into action on Tuesday. They'll host Arkansas State at FedEx Park. That'll be a 4 o'clock first pitch. Then this weekend they welcome the Missouri Tigers, 4 o'clock Friday, 2 o'clock Saturday, and 1 o'clock on Sunday afternoon. We move now to track and field, where the Tigers went to Southeast Missouri State for the Red Hawks Invitational Friday for their final tune-up before heading into Conference USA Indoor Championship next week. And the Memphis Tigers swept the 55-meter hurdles. Tyrell Ford had a time of 7.61. He took first in that event. Xenia Ron placed first for the women with a time of 8.13. The Memphis Jumpers picked up a pair of first-place finishes in the high jump. Kirsten Birding and Laura Toldy tied for first on the women's side of that event as both cleared a spot of 1.65 meters. For the men, Giorgio Linwood took first, clearing 2.13 meters, and Austin Crenshaw and Tim Jones finished second and third with a 1.83 and a 1.78. In the pole vault, Crenshaw took first with a height of 5.05 meters. The Tigers return to action next Saturday and Sunday. They'll be in Birmingham, Alabama for the Conference USA Indoor Track and Field Championships on the 23rd and the 24th. Women's basketball team hosted a couple of games last week at the El Marron Fieldhouse with a nice win over UAB on a Thursday night. They beat the Blazers 64-57. That makes it a 2-0 sweep over UAB on the season. And if the Tigers and the Blazers finish tied in the standings, that'll give the Tigers a 2-0 tiebreaker over UAB. Then on Sunday, Memphis took on first place SMU, also at the El Marron Fieldhouse, looking for a much-needed win and a big upset over the Mustangs. It wasn't to be as SMU beat Memphis 74-67. Tigers jumped out early and they led by 10 a couple of times in the first half. In fact, in the first half, they held SMU without a field goal for a little over 6.5 minutes. But SMU rallied. They led Memphis 30-29 at the half. It was a back-and-forth tilt in the second half before SMU was able to pull away again for the 74-67 win over Memphis. The loss puts Memphis at 14-11 overall, 5-6 in Conference USA. They are currently tied for 7th in the league. And now Memphis will be back on the road Thursday night in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. They'll take on Southern Mississippi on the Memphis Tiger Network. Then they return home to FedEx Forum for their second game downtown this season. They'll take on UTEP at 2 o'clock here on the Memphis Tiger Network. Softball headed to Baton Rouge, Louisiana for the LSU Purple and Gold Challenge over the weekend. They came away with just a 1-4 record in the tournament. They had some tough games, though. Day one for the Tigers started out with a 6-2 loss to North Dakota State in the morning game. Then they hung tough with Virginia in the afternoon, but they fell a 2-0 shutout. Saturday, Memphis picked up a win over Nicholls State, beating Nicholls State by a score of 3-2. Despite Nicholls plating a run in the bottom of the 7th, the Tigers held off the Colonels for their second win of the season. Following the game, we caught up with the head coach of the Memphis Tigers, Natalie Poole.
We needed that. We need to win, even if whether it's easy or whether it's not. We needed to find that win and stay the course, and so I'm proud of that. I'm definitely pleased that we came out and scored in the first inning and then scored again in the second inning. You know, and we got down a little while, but we came back and scored later in the game, which enabled us to win the game rather than being tied at the end of the game.
Memphis dropped 2 more games down at LSU, falling to 10th-ranked LSU on Sunday in a very close game as LSU had to come from behind to win at 5-4 and then fell Sunday 4-1 to North Dakota State. This weekend, softball will be hosting the 6th annual Blue City Classic. That will be down in South Haven. They'll play Indiana State on Friday, Detroit Saturday, and Southeast Missouri State on Sunday. The number 31 men's tennis team was in Nashville, Tennessee to take on number 40 Vanderbilt. They fell to the Commodores by a margin of 4-2 in Nashville. And the losses and the wins for Memphis, no wins in the doubles, but in singles picked up a couple of wins. Connor Glennon was a 6-1, 6-1 winner. Then Lucas Vernack won at 6-3, 6-3. David O'Leary did not get the finish in his match to Vanderbilt. Time for another edition of Tiger Talk. Women's basketball with just one 4-year senior on the team this year, and that is Nicole Dixon. We caught up with the all-conference forward out of Greenville, Tennessee.
Well, let's go back not just 4 years, but 5 years. A senior in high school on the other side of the state, and the Memphis coaches start getting in contact with you, talking about coming across state to play at the University of Memphis. And Melissa had been, I guess, in her first year, so trying to get you to come to Memphis. Talk about that process.
I mean, it was a long process. At first, I didn't really answer the phone. So, I mean, you'll hear Coach Melissa and Coach Truly say that all the time. I ignored them. But, I mean, it was just so stressful. And then finally, when I started talking to them, I just felt so comfortable with them and just wanted to stay close enough to my family. So that's part of what made my decision to come to Memphis.
Melissa kind of told a story about the longest conversation I think she ever had with you in the recruiting process is when you had called her to tell her, you know, I think I'm going to come to Memphis, I'm going to sign. Talk about that.
Yeah, I think she was in a furniture store, and I had to happen to call her, and she told me she sat down on the couches and everything. We were on the phone for a while, and I finally just told her that I think that's where I wanted to be. And then when they came to my home visit, I committed, and she just jumped so high up off the couch. It was one of the funniest days.
Nicole, I see you on the floor at games. I see you here at practice, in the lounge of the field house on road trips. But tell us, who's Nicole Dixon away from Memphis basketball? What do you like to do? Who is Nicole?
I stay in the house. I sleep, watch TV. I mean, I'm real laid back. I'm a real laid back person, so I don't do too much.
After the university, I guess you want to give a try to play some pro basketball.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to play professionally somewhere and just see where it takes me. So.
Also, following your basketball career, talk about your degree here. Is there any idea what you want to do post career, professional or college?
I mean, I majored in sports and leisure management, but I'm not sure what exactly I want to do yet. So.
No, it's a long way away.
Yeah,
you got some more basketball to play.
That's what I'm planning on.
Career winding down here now, as we've talked about your final semester, but now you're already into the second half of Conference USA season. The tournament will be here before you know it, and not get too emotional, but senior day is quickly approaching. Have you thought about that now that you're really on the stretch run with the career winding down here?
I try not to think about it. You know, I just take it one game at a time. When senior day comes, I mean, it'll be here, so I just take it one game at a time.
All right, Nicole, it's been a pleasure being around you the last 4 years. I wish you the best of luck in the future.
Thank you.
You can catch the entire interview with Nicole Dixon on the Memphis Tiger Network's YouTube channel. Well, that'll wrap it up for another week of overtime here on the Memphis Tiger Network. Don't forget to like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, also follow our YouTube page. Just search Memphis Tiger Network for all the videos we put out. And don't forget, for all official information, go to the official website of the Memphis Tigers, gotigersgo.com. For Overtime, I'm Jeff Brightwell.